Hi, so today I've got my wonderful friend joining us on this call. And basically, I think a lot of you might be curious about what does resilience actually mean and how does one become resilient in maybe different situations? Like, what are some of the takeaways that we can get from books, from self-help books, and just overall how to take care of our well-being. And I'd just like to have this discussion with, my friend Carissa, just to see her, her way of life and what she's learned, through this whole valuable process. So I'll just be asking her some questions. So welcome to, this discussion today, Carissa. It's really good to have you here. And I would just like you to share a little bit about, your background and, where you're at the moment, where you're living, and, just a basic background on yourself first. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Shirley. I am a Durbanite. I was born and bred there, and then moved around, and I decided that I always wanted to see my own country. So I lived in Pretoria when I left school, and then back to Durban, then to Cape Town, and then back to Johannesburg after Durban, and then back to Durban. And then I moved to the Caribbean for a year, and eventually I moved back, and then I met my husband, and then we moved to Pretoria, and then finally to Johannesburg. And then we decided that uh, to offer, well, an offer came in for the Seychelles. So we decided that, well, there was no decision. We were like, we are there. We were definitely going to move. I mean, no one's going to say no to the Seychelles. So
Wow, that
this
was
is
quite
where
an
we ended up.
experience. That's quite an experience to move, from South Africa to to the Seychelles. Because as some of you might be hearing this from overseas, Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg is the cities in our country. We both come from the same country, South Africa. And how have you found the Seychelles, particularly now? Like, what has your experience been like? Settling into a new culture. I understand you've been there for 2 or 3 months now. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. For 2 months. It's actually awesome. I love traveling. So for me, I always wanted to go back to an island again. And I must admit that before I got here, though, my husband was always talking about how it's raining all the time. And I'm thinking, why are you going on about the rain? Until I got here. And then I realized all it does is rain here. And it's also very hot, extremely hot. It's humid and it's 30 degrees even through the night. And you live in the air cons and fans. But the island itself is beautiful. I mean, the waters are beautiful. But the funny thing is, when it rains, though, the waters are dirty. So you can't actually go to the beach. And they
Oh,
don't tell this to people when you don't live here. So
very true.
I've only been able to go to the beach about 5 times because the other times the water's got sticks and branches and mud, and it's amazing. You think that the Seychelles is a fantasy place, but it's just like anywhere else. It has all its little quirks. But the people are lovely here. They are the nicest, sweetest bunch of people that I've ever met. I climb on the bus, and wherever I go, I'm always chatting to everybody, and funny enough, it's also very clean. I know that's a weird thing, but literally you'll go out at nighttime, they throw bottles and they throw stuff out the windows, and then you got guys in the morning that every day they're cleaning the roads.
Hmm,
So
interesting.
yeah, and but it's just lovely people, and I love being here though, even though it sounds like a bit of a complaint, it's not.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting, like you said, people get these perceptions of, being on island like Mauritius and, I mean, like even the Caribbean being so, comfortable and so easy, convenient. But I think when you settle there for some time, you see some of the realities there. Like they have their quirks, like you mentioned, that keyword stood out for me. Just on the topic of resilience and well-being, how have you, after your big move to Seychelles a few months ago, what are some things that have kept you going every day? When maybe things haven't gone your way, what has like kept you being resilient? And what are some things that you're reading that you'd like to share with the audience today?
Yeah, sure. Well, just a little bit before I got here, though, having my husband just got the offer in a week he had to be here, so I was left to pack up the whole flat, move my cats and all our belongings into a room. I ended up in a car accident because of that,
Wow.
And then I moved into a place with a woman from hell, which I then moved out 2 months later. And then mercifully, I found an amazing flat down the road from where I worked. And then things slowly got better, only now in November, December, before I even got here. So getting here, I basically had to pack all my stuff into like
Mm-hmm.
my whole room into one case. Well, it was actually 4 cases. And then I had a situation at the airport where they wanted to charge me 26,000 Rand to bring my bags across. So I had to leave 4 of them behind. I left 3/4 of my clothes behind. So I only had like 2 jeans and 3 t-shirts when I got here. But luckily I have a whole case of size 38, so I'm going to lose weight to fit into. So um, I think, you know, I just I have this thing where it's called starting over. So no matter what happens, if it's the beginning of the week or the first of the month, what I do is start again. And that's my way of it's my coping skill, as you call it. So it doesn't matter what's happening before, uh, just put it aside and then say, okay, let's start. And being here and just being in a routine. But I think what's great is I was reading a little bit of a book again that I enjoyed. It's called Resilience by John Etheridge. And I'm going to read a little bit if you don't mind. It was
That'll
just
be
a little phrase, which was awesome. And it says, I just want life to be good again. And that's why I came here. My cup was empty before I got here. So I was told that to be the person I'm going to be again, I need to fill that cup. And it slowly started filling up. So says, the longing for things to be good again is one of the deepest yearnings of the human heart. The epicenter of our being is the deep longing to aspire for things that bring us life, to plan and for those things to take hold of them and to enjoy them and start the cycle over as we aspire towards new things. I said, this hunger allows human beings to survive the most terrible ordeals, and we tap into our deep reserves to endure years of suffering and deprivation. Then one day our heart simply says, I don't care anymore, I'm done. So that was before I got you. And I just want to read, um, sorry,
It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Carry on.
I'm bumping this little keyboard. So, and then this was the second thing that I read is create a little margin in your life to allow your soul room to breathe. You can't just keep slogging on. You have to make room for recovery and resilience. And it can start with 5 to 10 minutes, morning and evening, a few evenings each week where you aren't doing anything. A day off now and then. And in that margin and in the space you create, you ask for the supernatural graces. You ask for attachment, the strength that prevails. And then you promise that it's going to make a world of difference. So I yeah, I just do that. If I'm going through something, I just start again. Because who says you can't start again? So
So
that's
Carissa, just let us know, like, what is a simple way, like, I think the author suggested about even 5 minutes a day, because people have busy lives. People are really, uh, distracted in our world. There's many things coming in the way. They can't seem to clear their thoughts. What would your suggestion be for our audience about how you can just be practical about it and take a few minutes out for yourself, for your well-being, and to build up your resilience? What is some simple tools that you can give us today that would be helpful?
well, for me, it's just to sit quietly in the morning. So when I get up,
Mm.
I just set aside um, those minutes when I first wake up. Before I must admit, I don't always do it, but I try to
Mm-hmm.
start the day off by just sitting, and then and just there was it was actually a thing I was doing. It was called the 1 minute pause. It was actually a meditation little app,
Mm-hmm.
and it was incredible. It's the same author that wrote this book, John Etheridge. He started a called the 1 minute pause, and you can do different minutes and just sitting and you listen to his voice. It was it was actually so amazing because it just centers you and calms you, and it just gives you that strength again, just to be calm and take on the day. So, and then sometimes it's got the morning and it's got the evening. It
Right.
has two different ones. So it's actually amazing where it just calms you down, and that for me helped me a lot.
I'm kind of curious. Is it about, is it like maybe some, messages that it shares? I mean, how does one get hold of this app? And I mean, how does one calm down when they listen to this pause app, whether it's morning or evening time?
Well, it's on the App Store for our phones, and I just downloaded it off there. But it is spiritual, so it's it does talk about things that you especially for me, obviously, because that's my base. Is that
Mm,
I like anything spiritual, but um, I think in this regard, even if you're not spiritual, it will be amazing because you know it's a mantra which I like to do. What I do is breathe, like I do deep breathing. So I
mm,
was told by an amazing friend, Irene, that what you do is you go according to your pulse and you breathe in 4 times and breathe out 4 times. So while I'm listening to the words of whoever's talking that day, then I do my
mm.
breathing exercises. And I think that was one of the things I realized I actually don't breathe because I'll
Yes.
like hold it in. And it's amazing how many times you actually realize when you're sitting there. And I remember the one day I was watching a program and this little girl, she got so anxious. She was special needs. And he said, just breathe. And I remember breathing, and then all of a sudden I
Yes.
just started crying. It was
Okay.
amazing how much you actually hold in and you don't realize. So I actually do it often now, even at nighttime if I can't get to sleep because I'm very ADHD, where my mind just goes all the time. So for
Wow.
me to go to sleep, I do that. I do then I breathe in for 6 and breathe out for 8. And that's the way I calm myself. And then I think of a black wall because your mind just goes and goes. So that's my way of just switching off.
You mentioned, that you had ADHD, right? Or yeah, and how do you sometimes, because I know with people like that, they have a lot of energy and sometimes they can't focus on one specific task at a time. So what are some things that help you manage that? Because I think that does link in with resilience as well, not giving up on something. So how would you manage your energy levels now? Because I know in the past it was challenging because you looked at other resources to help you, but what are some healthy resources that help you now that could also build up your well-being?
So if I didn't actually make myself a routine, I would actually end up just lying on the couch all day watching TV, and I would not want to do anything, not want to go anywhere, and I would actually fall into quite a deep depression. So before I got here, when I used to have school holidays, I would have off a month at a time. So I was off 3 months of the year. And I would literally not go anywhere for weeks. I'd even order from 6060 deliver my food because
Wow.
I just didn't want to leave the house. And especially near the end of this year, also when I was in my last place, I wouldn't, I would get home from school at 2 and I wouldn't go anywhere. I would go to bed. I'd actually leave the laptop playing and fall asleep to a series, and then the battery would die and I would fall asleep that way. So being here now, I actually realized I needed to get into a routine because I didn't get a position at a school. I was really hoping to become a secretary at a pre-primary school. And with that not happening, I thought, okay, what am I going to do? So uh, then I just wake up in the mornings. I know it sounds simple, but it actually is. It helps me is make the bed, do the dishes, do my husband's iron his shirts for work, so he doesn't have to worry. I clean the flat because he's the one that's the breadwinner now, and I always want to be. I just always want to help out because now I'm not working out.
Mm.
It's a big thing for me, and then I will then go into town. I'll take the bus and get out of the house, so I don't stay in the flat because that
Is
will
that a
just make me
daily
fall
thing,
into a funk.
Carissa? Is that a daily thing while you're
Not
home?
always to
Work?
town though, not the town part. That is like it depends if we need something. Then I'll take the bus down to Ballarat, or I'll go to Victoria and I'll look for something, or I'll go to the library. And last week I took the bus to the beach because it wasn't raining. So, and then I come home and then I actually set my alarm for 3:15, 15:15, and then I put on a dance workout from YouTube. It's got 70s music, and I do a dance workout. Not every day, I try, but it's the most amazing thing. She's got different workouts too. I love 70s and 80s music. And that way I'm exercising, which increases my endorphins and my
Mm.
serotonin levels. So it keeps me happy. And then I know hubby's coming home. So I know, he's going to want a cup of coffee. So I make him I get it all ready for him, and the minute he comes in the door, I have his coffee ready. And I was never like this. I mean, I'm not a housewife,
It's quite an
so,
adaptation for
you know.
you. Mm.
Yeah, and then I've also been cooking. I never used to cook. My husband did all the cooking, so now I make like simple meals, like chicken breast or tuna, with salads. And I'm trying also now just to eat healthier as well, because
Yes, that'll be our
I see
next
too
topic in the
many.
next session. We'll talk about nutrition. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
Just getting back to the routine thing, do you sometimes use a timer for each thing so that you don't lose track of time? I was just wondering what strategies you use. I find that kids like this too. Like my oldest son, who's 9 years old, he actually uses like a schedule when he doesn't have school and he has holidays. He writes down a list of things he needs to do, and then he has a timer, and it just seems to help him get through the day with a set routine that he enjoys. How does it work for
Um,
you?
no timers, because I'll clean and then I'll lie on the couch and watch a movie. And then I'll get back up and then I'll do the next thing. So there are no timers. But I must admit, when I do have something to do, I do a list though. Like the other day
Okay.
when I went into town,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to go to the library and then I wanted to go look at the gym down the road. And then from the gym, I wanted to go get this. So I do lists just so that I don't forget, because being hyperactive, my short-term memory is shocking. So I'm always doing lists because as my husband goes, didn't you write it down? No, I do lists and I send him lists. So that's my way of just coping, as they say. So yeah.
Wow, it's been really interesting to talk along this topic, and just that you've really referred to some useful authors. Can you let us know what the author is again of the book that you're reading, particularly on the resilience? What's the name
So
of the
I'm
author?
reading. It's by John Etheridge. It's called Resilience, and there's also another book he wrote. It's said Get Your Life Back. He's written two books besides that, the app with the 1 minute pause on it. And then I've actually just downloaded another book, which is good for me, especially being hyperactive. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. So I'm always hurrying, because you
And it's the
never,
same author,
it's
right?
just,
It's the same author as the one
no.
with
So
resilience. It's another
that's a
author.
new author, um, a new author. Shame, sorry. Actually, I'll tell you now what his,
And this we can just download from
um,
Kindle. We can purchase it on Amazon.
yes. So I get mine on Kindle, and his name is John Comer, Comer, John Comer, John Mark Comer. And I've also just started his book as well. So I'm going to be excited to see how he actually just slows things down. Because I love to always be on the go all the time, but it's
Mm,
not always good for you. So, because this is the thing. What I do is I watch movies to escape life. When I was going through anything, that's why I would watch movies all day and not go out of my flat. So I didn't have
mm,
to deal with life. And that's why now I'm trying to face life head on now by doing all these things and going out. And, I'm also studying French on my iPad, and I'm going to learn to play the piano. I'm buying a keyboard at the end of the
very
month.
nice. You've identified your passion, and it's something that you can fill your time with that will be
Yes.
meaningful and purposeful for you. It's really, it's. I mean, it's really been honestly meaningful. Today just to find out about just the 1 minute pause session and having a routine, and just identifying what resilience is to you, especially moving to a new country. That's a big transition, because often there can be misunderstandings, and maybe you haven't established your new life transition. But just today you've really shared some helpful points that I think would definitely help our audience if they ever had to confront any transitions in their life, even if it's a small transition, and move to another town in their city, or they're going to another place. I think it's always good to have these tips in mind. And I think one thing that stood out for me is just identifying our life traps. Sometimes there are different kinds of traps, which you can also look at in another session, together, where we can look at a book called I Choose Us. And in that, there's a lot of, ideas about what life traps are, to be able to identify that. And I know you mentioned about your ADHD, which I feel very grateful that you've been vulnerable during this session about that, because I think there are many people out there that have faced these specific challenges before. They don't know how to use their or channel their energy in the right direction. So I've really found it very, very helpful enough myself as well. just identifying some of the things that have maybe come in the way of our paths, and we don't know how to move forward, or we're stuck. So I think just getting unstuck is the key, and identifying those life traps. So I'm so appreciable of this session today. Is there anything you'd like to add before we do come to a closing? Is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yes. Actually, what I used to have in South Africa to make was I had a coffee group. We would try different coffee shops and
Mm.
try their coffees or teas or whatever they felt like their day. It didn't have to be coffee. So I had a group that we used to meet up and every few months. We tried every month, but it didn't work. So just also, especially with ADHD, you suffer from depression. So you need to actually get out of yourself. So like for example, I'm going to join. I know it's the religiously thing, but I'm going to join the church down the road so I can make friends. And I've made some contacts with expats that are on the island, so I'm going to be meeting up with them. And I don't have a problem making friends. I love socializing. So it's good to get out. You got to get out of your space, not just
Wow.
stay inside.
Interesting.
So that's why
Yes.
I'm excited because I know when I make friends, then that's going to lead to more outings and we go hiking. We go hiking every Saturday. We try every Saturday. So this Saturday we're going to Police Bay and we're going down to the beach. So there's a beautiful hike all the way through in the
Mm.
tropical jungle, as they say, down to the beaches. And we've gone on 3 hikes in Sardinia. So that is our plan. And then obviously also we're going to join up with the gym that I mentioned. I went to go have a look at. It's just 4Ks and it's really good just to also for socializing. You meet other people and you also work on your energy levels, so you keep your serotonin levels up.
Oh,
So
this is so
yes,
exciting. And maybe when I put this channel up in my LinkedIn page, hopefully you can add in some of those pictures, maybe this coming weekend when you go hiking, then people can actually see what the trails are like in the Seychelles, and maybe even potentially go and visit there or find similar settings in their own countries, which I think is good. The key is getting out and just getting out of your comfort zone and actually going out there and meeting people. Wow, I can't believe, Carissa, that you've only been there for a few months, but you've got all these goals. And I can't wait to hear in our next sessions how these goals are going and how you're moving forward, and basically just really looking at your well-being and your resilience. So I thank you for the session today. It's really been meaningful. Thank you very
pleasure.
much. Yeah, I'm just gonna stop the recording here. Yeah.